Okay, let's start.
So, on Rumble. So shout out to y'all. All right, so we're gonna play this this voice recording, right? Go ahead.
Like that. Why? I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet. Sometimes you forget exactly how lucky you were to get fucked by me. Would you rather me pin you down and make you do things you didn't like, or would you rather fuck? You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this fucking planet. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't fucking pass out. Chill the fuck out. Jesus Christ, I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
Okay.
Am I a bad person?
Now, I also want to go ahead and play the stupid post from Impact on Instagram. All right. So this plays as well. They play this thing. So Impact also doubles on, right, and goes, swipe to hear voice memo that a survivor received from Andrew Tate.
A survivor?
Yeah,
Come on, bro.
Yeah, they refer to it as a reviver. So go ahead, Chris, unmute it and go back to the beginning of the thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Go back. Oh, no, all the way back, Chris, all the way. Because I want to show them everything. So Impact posts, they go, Andrew Tate sent these texts and voice memos to a woman who accused him of graphic descriptions of grape, violence, abuse, right? So they're like,
Yeah,
right. And then they go, Andrew Tate is currently detained in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking. However, before becoming famous, he was arrested twice on suspicion of grape and assault in the UK in 2015. The Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, decided not to charge him with any crimes because there was no realistic prospect of a conviction. I wonder why.
Why? Exactly.
So it goes here. A third woman has now come forward to accuse Tate of grape. The survivor, referred to as Amelia, air quotes, to protect her identity, had been dating Tate for just.
Well, on the whole thing of the cases that were brought in 2015 in the UK, there have been explanations on this whole situation where in the UK, most rape allegations are not brought to trial. So it's more so a miscarriage of justice when it comes to this situation. You can't say that most of the allegations for rape are not true. Otherwise, I mean, I could understand that Myron would say that considering what he's going to say soon. And you always have to pay attention to who's saying it and what the context is. That's very important. Keep that in mind. Continue.
2 or 3 weeks before the grape took place in 2013, Vice has obtained and released WhatsApp messages and voice memos that Tate sent her. And then they go, the next 2 slides contain sexually aggressive language, blah, blah, blah. So here's the text messages, right? And as you guys can see, they only show his messages. They don't show the girl's messages.
I wonder why.
Those aren't even real messages either. Right? That's a graphic created. That's a graphic.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's
you
not
can
actual
create
messages. These are recreated.
But you can look, man. You can create fake messages like this.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely can. There are apps. There are websites. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So my thing is this. Let's say that these are real messages. Okay. Let's say that this is actually from WhatsApp, right? Then go ahead and you guys can see here. It goes, and I love graping you and watching you let me while still interesting how it says, and watching you let me while still debating if it's a good idea or not.
This is ridiculous.
You were my whirlwind. I had my hands on you. Monsters are monsters. When you're under my control, I do whatever I please. And then let's move to the next one.
Bro, you can't make this shit up. This is ridiculous. And yeah, you can actually.
And so the text, even if the texts were fake, we still hear the recording. So I don't really get why there's so much of a desire to try and brush over a recording that clearly is saying that he is happy to have sexually assaulted her and like the fact that she didn't want it because it made him want to do it to her even more. How is that fake? That's what I want to know. People never really admit to how or explain how that recording is specifically fake in a way where you have proof to prove that that was a fake recording at least, or that somehow that whole interaction was consensual. And to point out this whole situation, it's to me interesting because it's like, I think it's kind of obvious that two things. One, if he is saying that the more she didn't want it, the more he liked it, and so forth, and that he was happy to assault her in the way he did, and she is bringing it forward as if it is assault, then you can gather that obviously it was assault. And the second thing is, since it was said that she brought the recording and showed this recording to the police originally and turned it in, obviously she didn't turn it in, edit it like this. One, without showing what she was saying. They heard what she was saying. So obviously, who's going to send in something that is a recording of them acquiescing, if it was acquiescing to what he was saying? They wouldn't. So that lets you know that obviously it was not consensual. You can say they were upset at whatever, or there could have been another issue in the past. That does not change what happened in that interaction right there. Obviously was talking about sexual assault, was talking about raping somebody. Considering she said it herself that she still can't admit that this was sexual assault and rape, can tell you that she's not going to treat it the same as someone who was raped and is yelling to the world that they were raped. She's not doing that. She wasn't doing that. You have to remember that she has a hard time accepting that it was rape. So you can't really, the argument that you guys come up with is nonsensical, one, and two, it's like you're completely ignorant to how sexual assault victims act on rape. You forget, or you don't know, or you're ignorant to the fact that a lot of people live in denial. And she specifically said she lives in denial and doesn't even like to call it rape because, one, just think, if somebody said they're so happy to rape you and they were so happy that they did it, would you want to call it rape? Would you want to give them the satisfaction of telling them that you raped them? No, you want to have the power of not calling it rape. Just saying. Because now you are satisfying them. Now you're giving power back to them. You know what I mean? So it makes sense how this situation turned out. Now, to me, the recording, to me, is just too convincing in that regard for me to not think that that's rape. I could say that if it is fake, somebody bring proof to show that he's not actually saying this. If he's not actually saying this and it's somehow doctored or something, or is AI, then prove it. You know what I mean? You can't just say that it's, AI without proving it. So anyway, continue.
And then the voice memo from before, right? And then that we just listened to. And then Amelia shared her story after two other women came forward with their own accusations against Tate. I felt stronger, she said. I felt like, okay, I'm not alone now. I've got two other girls. You can read Amelia's full story here. Oh, of course she did an interview.
Oh, my God.
Right?
So, on the whole thing of the women, actually, there was a total of 6 women that came out, supposedly, on rape. And to me, it's like, it's not just all at once. It's like a blood trail of sexual assault, allegations. So to me, there's multiple women corroborating her story, added to the fact that we have a recording of her specifically saying, him saying that he basically raped her. So, that's two things. If it was just her story and her recording, maybe we could really, consider maybe he is not assaulting women. But why is it 6 women? 6 women that accuse this man of sexual assault. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sorry. That's just what the truth is. Continue.
And then this interview contains explicit descriptions of sexual violence, right? And then let's go. And then it goes, intimate partners violence account for 15% of all violent crime in the United States. Then they put the hotlines, and then move on to the next one. And then they give the sources. And is there anything else? Okay. So the thing, and I'll turn it to the panel after this. The thing that stuck out to me was they don't show her messages. Yeah. They only show his messages.
Right.
And me using a little bit of common sense here, if this guy is actually doing this to you, right? You have his number. Clearly, you guys are going back and forth, which is why he's sending those messages. I need fucking context. You can't release only what he says and not release what she says. Here.
You have to understand, you're not a jury, you're not a judge. Of course, she should have privacy for what she's saying. That's not to say that in court, as far as the prosecutor, as far as those who actually have to do with the case and have to do with the law, that they do not have the full recording. Like, if that was the edited version of what she gave, and she just gave an edited version to the cops, that would be a different story. But they edited it for the public, so we wouldn't hear what she's saying, because that's private information. Why do we have to hear her in her most vulnerable situation? Why would that be allowed? That's not fair. That's not right. Like, you just want it, I think, to embarrass her more than anything. It's not like, it's like almost you don't have an understanding of how that would affect someone. One, especially if they are trying to hide their identity and they're not trying to be heard as far as their voice. You know, why is it you're trying to basically smear a victim just to distract from the fact that someone you like raped somebody? If they did. If they did, they did. You know, I'm not one who hates Andrew Tate. I think that his content, some of his content is very informational and very inspirational. And I don't really get why it would specifically be just for men. It, to me, seems like it's for everyone, honestly. So I do think he had positive content. I never had anything against his content. But focusing on this case, we don't have to take sides just because we like his content. We can take it as is. If he said those things, and she's saying that it's sexual assault, it's safe to say it's sexual assault at that point, in my opinion. Especially when he has a blood trail of 6 women coming out saying that there was some kind of assault. So, continue.
The other thing too that I want to make very, I'm just going to say it. Women like to be dominated in the bedroom.
That's right.
Okay, guys?
That's right.
Ta-da!
See, this is what I mean, sir. You have a mentality where you come from a background, specifically, that celebrates rape of women. Anyone can look up the statistics on rape in Sudan. It is terrible there. Maybe that's why you think that women love being dominated in the bedroom. I personally don't. I'm a woman, and I actually like to dominate in the bedroom. So you can't really say that women like to be dominated in the bedroom. You can say some women like to be dominated in the bedroom, but you do know that some men love to be dominated in the bedroom. They do. So, I mean, like, I think you need to realize that just because your culture tells you that women love to be raped does not mean it actually is true. It's just something that your culture taught you. The context of the situation, you always have to pay attention to. You always have to pay attention to the source. You are a source. You are a person giving your opinion, right? And you have to understand where your opinion is sourced from. Your opinion is from a culture that celebrates rape. Therefore, you think that women love rape. But that's just what you were taught as far as misinformation. And this is a dangerous mentality, honestly. If you think that that women want to be raped by the right man, then you're a dangerous person, because if a woman says she's attracted to you, you think that she wants you to rape her. Oh my God. I mean, I've gone over some of the things that you've said as far as sexually in the past, but this is more extreme than the last thing, honestly. This is even worse. I mean, like, you really, really don't know the desires of women. You just know what you were taught, which is sad. Anyway, continue.
I know a lot of these fucking weird liberals, etc., these pussies, like, they don't think that, they think women are sugar and spice and everything nice, and they don't like to get their hair pulled and choked and...
Being liberal has nothing to do with it. I'm a very conservative woman. I'm probably more conservative than anyone on this panel. So please do not use being conservative or liberal having to do with wanting to be raped. I do think, honestly, that might be more on the other side of the spectrum. But anyway, continue. Actually, if you really pay attention to what he's saying there, traditionally, he's thinking of his own tradition, I bet, there, honestly. Because he's thinking in a conservative mentality. I don't think conservatively that rape is acceptable in our culture. But in your culture, I guess that does make sense. So then you would think more conservative people would prefer rape. That's scary. I mean, I call myself conservative. I would never want anyone to think that being conservative means that I like to be raped. What the heck? No, not at all. Seriously.
Dominated in the bedroom? They fucking do. 50 Shades of Grey was a popular book for a reason. A lot of women, guys, I'm gonna fucking say it, fantasize about getting raped by a guy that they're attracted to. Girls have...
50 Shades of Grey was about BDSM, though. Anyone can relate to the dominant person in a BDSM relationship if they're dominant, regardless of the sex. Are we really trying to enact the whole story of 50 Shades of Grey? That's weird to me. Like, I don't think many people are really actually trying to be the characters in 50 Shades of Grey. If someone was trying to normalize BDSM and they were into BDSM, that would not tell you where their role was in a BDSM relationship, even. Just saying. And, I'm not even into all that, but I'm just saying, I'm just being honest.
Fantasies about this shit. There's a guy that John knows, which you can go into detail about this, John, that literally gets paid to break into a girl's house and recreate the fantasy of kidnapping them. He makes them sign a fucking waiver and all this shit, but there are women that like this. And the other thing I want to say, too, you want to know how I know that there's women that like this? A video surfaced of Andrew slapping a girl in the bedroom, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, he beats women. The girl came out 2 times and said, yo, me and Andrew consent to this, or I consented to this, I like it, it turns me on, etc. So what this tells me is that the women that Andrew deals with, a lot of them probably like aggressive sex.
Of course.
Okay? Yeah. This girl probably likes aggressive sex. Yeah. He's not going to be sending you voice notes like that and text messages like...
I agree with that part where I have said that I think that many of the women that he's with are interested in aggressive sex. That doesn't mean specifically she is. I think that he picks right most of the time, but some of the time he picks wrong. Also, added to that, the girl came out saying that it was consensual. That lets you know that it was not a problem. And also, this was not a situation of rape, but it was just him spanking her. Very different than a situation where he's telling a woman he is so happy to rape her, and she is saying that it was assault, and it bothers her, and it's hard for her to basically accept that it was rape because he makes it so traumatic of a situation. I mean, he didn't make it any... He made it worse by saying specifically that he loved raping her. How do you think that so psychologically is going to affect her? So, I mean, the fact that she didn't want to have those messages and didn't like those messages lets you know that it's not consensual.
That if you are not interested, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And the fact that they're withholding her messages and not showing the full context tells me she likes the shit, but she wants to come forward now and say, well, I felt pressure to it.
No, she didn't. One, she didn't say that. Why are you lying about what she said? She didn't say that she was pressured to it. You're making up lies on her. See, it doesn't seem like she's making up lies here. It seems like you're making up lies because she never said that she was pressured into it. She said that she was making out with him on the bed. He basically sat back and asked if he was considering raping her. She was confused about it, and then he went and strangled her and forced himself on her. She said before that she told him that she didn't want to have sex. She said no. So, yeah, she said throughout the whole thing that she did not want to have sex with him. She let him know. She did not consent. So you can't lie and say that she said that she was pressured. Pressured was not the case in this situation. This is a smokescreen. This is a lie that you come up with because you can come up with another story where that happened. That's not this case. This is you just trying to lie for someone you like. So, I mean, like, that part is just messed up. And then also, on the whole thing of saying that she wanted it. Well, one, specifically, if someone said they did not want it and they're saying no, it doesn't matter if they would want that or not. They said no. It doesn't matter anything else. If someone says no, they say no. And she specifically said she said no. He's saying in his text that she did not want it, and it made him want it even more. So he's literally admitting to the fact that she said no during the sex. She let him know that she didn't want it, and he wanted to do it even more now that he knew that she didn't want it. So you cannot try and lie like this. You're just spinning a dang story. I'm tired of you guys spinning a story. You know, for me, like I said, I'm a neutral person in this, but I do not like the freaking spinning. I don't like the spinning on any side of this. You guys have it spinning on the other side of it too, with the webcamming modeling situation, with the whole thing where people are saying lover boy method. That is spinning. Trying to say that is somehow sex trafficking, that is spinning. People trying to make up that he's a pimp, that's spinning. But this is spinning too when you're trying to say a situation that has a recording specifically saying that she did not want it from him and that it made him want to force himself on her even more because she didn't want it, which he knew because he said he knew. So you can't make this up. You can't lie. The proof is in the recording. What she said on her end, like I said, if she showed it to the police, then obviously she didn't say that she was consenting to all of this to the police. Because why would she send a recording where she's saying she's consenting? Why would she send texts where she's saying that she's consenting? You see what I'm saying? Specifically, it shows that the fact that she showed those recordings to the police lets you know that obviously she was not consenting through any of those interactions, through text or through recording. Continue.
And this is the problem too. This is the hard talk that we got to have in America and the Western world. Regret is not rape. I'm going to say it one more time for y'all. Regret is not fucking rape. You cannot sit there and consent and then come back and say, oh my God, I felt bad about that. I'm going to withdraw consent. He actually raped me. Take some fucking accountability.
But yeah, that doesn't make any sense now, does it? How can you say that she said yes when he said that she specifically said no? Like I said, you're trying here, but you can make a story up. You know, you can make another video, make a story up about some random story with Andrew Tate with some girl that never occurred, because this situation never occurred. But that's not the case. That's not the situation. Andrew Tate already told you what happened. And more importantly, I just want to address one other thing. Obviously, it's enough evidence because he was literally kicked off Big Brother because of this whole situation. So there was enough evidence, obviously, to kick him off of that whole situation, kick him off of the Big Brother, and he was arrested for it. So, like I said, there's enough evidence that he actually did rape her. I think his conduct to women in general may not be safe for the public. It may be that he forced himself on to some women in the past. That doesn't mean he's guilty of sex trafficking. It just means his interactions with women who are not into that type of sex, because not all women are. And when you come with that mentality where you think that all women are into having sex, having rape, sex, or whatever the heck you're talking about, you come with this mentality where you assume any woman who likes you wants to be raped by you, which is so scary. Honestly, people like that are scary because, like, if someone is attracted to you, they might be attracted to you because they want to dominate you. But you thought of it in a whole different way because that was self-serving for your own fantasies. Not everyone is here to fulfill your own fantasies, though. I understand this as a dominant person, that not everyone is out here to fulfill my fantasies. Not everyone I'm attracted to that's attracted to me is there to fulfill my fantasies. They're not. Some people have different sexual desires and tastes, and I have to respect that, and they have to respect my fantasies and desires and sexual tastes, It's a mutual situation. It's not a situation where someone is here to fulfill your sexual desires, whether they consent or not. All they have to show is physical sexual interest in you, and that means that they're down for whatever you're into. That is a very narcissistic view of any sexual relationship you might possibly have. And, you can't try and make up and say that people regret it. No, some people would never agree to it in the first place because they don't want that. They don't have any desire for that. Some people do not like being choked. Why would everyone want to be choked? Sir, do you want to be choked? And it makes no sense to me that some dominant men don't understand. If you don't like to be choked, if you don't like to be dominated, maybe someone else doesn't want to be dominated either. You understand it for yourself, but why don't you understand it for others? I don't get it. You're this way. You understand that you would never want that done to you. So you should understand some other people would not want that done to them as well. If you can't have it done to you, don't expect everyone else to want to have that done to them. I honestly am of the mentality where the fact that some people are of the mentality where they're submissive, I just relish in that and enjoy that. I'm not going to expect everyone to be that way. I understand I'm not. You know what I mean? So that's one part of it. Continue, I guess.
If you have sex with someone and you regret it later, that's your fucking fault, okay? Women are equal, okay? Women are liberated. Women are free. Freedom comes with what? Responsibility.
I want to say something about that because
Please, go ahead.
I think that, obviously rape is a serious problem, right? It's not gone away. But at the same time, it's pretty common to the average person right now that that word is liberally being used.
Yeah.
And it's really taking away the seriousness of that word because it's getting used so much, right? And it's taking away from women who have actually been raped.
Yes.
It's kind of like now, like if you don't agree with something, like they immediately call you a racist, right? And that's kind of like taken away from the seriousness of like being called racist. Like everybody's a racist nowadays, like because everybody is just using that word so liberally. And I just think like really this whole situation, it's just so slimy. Like what Vice is doing, they're really living up to that filthy media production company that they own. And it's 44% owned by George Soros.
Oh shit. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Damn.
The Soros Fund, 44% owner in Vice Media.
Holy fuck, dude.
So,
well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, like what would be a conspiracy theorist or not, whatever the case may be. But I mean,
there are no coincidences, dude.
This thing stinks of no integrity. But there's the bottom line is there's a lot of shitty people out there that just like want to watch the world burn. and they'll go along with this fucking witch hunt just for the sake of it. And then this could happen to somebody else. This could happen to fucking Antonio Brown. This can happen to fucking Tom Brady. It could happen.
It almost did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I just think this whole liberally using the word "I got raped," "I got sexually assaulted." Again, I'm not taking away from the women who have had this.
And I don't get it. How are you trying to spin a situation where he specifically admitted to raping a woman, specifically saying the more she didn't want it, the more he wanted to rape her, that somehow that is the same as someone saying that they regret having sex, therefore they're going to liberally say that that person raped them. I am not one who is all for the Me Too movement. So, I mean, like, you guys trying to bring in liberalism and all that nonsense, that's not what this is. When he specifically says that he agreed that she did not want to have sex with him, but he did it anyway. That lets you know that he forced himself on her and that he found it more satisfactional to force himself on her when she did not want it. So to me, from my perspective, I kind of honestly feel like, you guys trying to say that it was a situation where someone regrets, therefore they're going to call it rape, is not actually the true case of the situation. You can keep spinning, but it's not going to change anything. I have one other part that I want to address before I finish this video off. So let me go with this small part right here.
All right? Which is very interesting to me. That they want to go ahead and write this article and then come back and say that Andrew is a rapist. Is it weird to fantasize about having sex against my will? And this was wrote by one of their own people.
Wow.
Fuck that shit. There you go. Right?
Wow.
So talk about the contradiction. So look, this is a girl coming forward in this article. What I told y'all before. A lot of girls, guys, it's an uncomfortable reality, but they fantasize about getting choked out, raped, etc. by a man.
Some women do and some men do. I mean, like, have we even had a woman die in their closet room from trying to choke themselves because they liked to be choked? We haven't. We've had men do that, though. I'm just saying that's the truth. We've had some men who have done that and ended up dead because of it. But I'm trying to point out here, does that mean that every man loves to be choked out and dominated? No. I mean, there's some men that do. And, that's great. Because there's plenty of dominant women who love to fulfill their fantasies on that. Because, it's a mutual interest. But that doesn't mean that we should assume all men deserve and love to be dominated like that and to be choked out and to, basically have things done to them against their will. Like, I don't know. To me, I don't understand why you guys are always of this mentality where you think that just because you found some women who are like that, just because someone in the production portion of this have that desire, does not mean all women do. Does not mean the woman who was raped wanted that.
I want to tell y'all this because you guys know I cover serial killers. Ted Bundy, the Night Stalker, Jeffrey Dahmer, all violent serial killer rapists. When they went to trial, you know how many girls were there watching them at the trial?
All of them.
Hey, guys, again, I don't make the rules. I just report them. A lot of girls have a carnal need for a man who's dominant, that's aggressive, etc. Girls love it. Now, am I saying that rape is cool and everything?
Yes, but you can also find that with some other people, some other women who have killed many different types of people. You will find that they were sexually involved with some men in prison and so forth. I can think of like 2 different situations where that occurred. So, I mean, like, what are you talking about? There's some people who like toxic people. I don't think that really has to even do with the whole situation of rape, even. But continue.
Like that. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that girls want that aggressive sex from the right guy. So I'm looking at the text messages. I'm looking at the voice memos. I know that Andrew filmed a video before with a girl and she wanted that. It would make sense for me, right, to use logic, that other girls will probably want that treatment from him as well.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that these girls want to come forward years later and say, oh, Andrew raped me, blah, blah, blah.
No, it wasn't years later, though. It was in 2015 when she came forward. That's what I mean. It's been a blood trail. It's not actually come out just now. See, you keep making up stuff. Go with the actual truth. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Going with the actual truth will make the guy you like look badly. So you have to keep lying. Now, like I said, it's a very dangerous view to be thinking that women need to be raped by men they like. Like, that's really bad. Honestly, it turns me off from a lot of, like, implying that you like a man is really what you think means, wanting to be raped by a man. I mean, like, personally, to me, I don't even need vaginal sex that much. If it was really rape or simulating rape or rough sex of any sort or no sex, I would rather go with no sex. I mean, I've honestly met many dominant men, and I've always turned down sex with them. And that wasn't even really anything of role-playing rape. It's just like when men are a little too dominant sexually, for me, I dry up and I don't really have any ability to have sex, basically. I mean, I don't understand who would, but I mean, people do get off on different things. So I don't judge men or women who get turned on by, force and forceful things being done to them. I don't. Personally, to me, I enjoy being more forceful with sex. I love to be a top more so with sex, with men. But I still do think that, like, why would you assume that everyone would get turned on by that? You understand that to dominate a woman, somebody has to be dominant, right? So you understand that someone is dominant, right? So then that means that people can be dominant and enjoy being dominant. And that those people who are dominant, if they were in the wrong position and they were put in a submissive position, they would become unaroused. And women and men get aroused by sex. It's not just men. It's not just penetrating, because you actually have to have a hole to actually penetrate. And I know a lot of people don't pay attention to this, but for females, as if you have, it's less accessible to have sex vaginally if you're not aroused, because the muscles don't relax, basically, and also you can dry up, and it would basically mean you wouldn't have any ability to actually have sex. So anyway, my whole point in this whole situation is, you're saying that women like to be raped. No, the women you have sex with like to role play rape. I think I feel sorry for the women that have sex with you, honestly, on so many levels. Like, I used to just feel sorry because I thought that you guys, you have your whole thing where you don't like to do certain things with women, and I thought that was a problem, as far as foreplay or whatever. But I mean, now you're saying that you specifically think that women need to be raped and stuff. How are they supposed to get an orgasm off of being raped? I don't even get that. How is that supposed to be? How are you supposed to climax? Like, I don't get it. I really don't. As a woman, I don't get that. But I assume that other people understand how to do that when they're submissive. Assuming that every woman is like that and able to climax off of being beat down, strangled, and abused and raped, that's just not something that I can understand, and I understand that a lot of women can't, and I think you have to think of women as individuals, not machines. And I do think that a lot of the time with the manosphere, that a lot of the time these type of people have this mentality where they think of women as machines rather than people. And when you don't think of women as people and you think of women as basically one size fits all, you'll never understand that women have different sexualities. I don't understand why you don't understand this when you already know not even all women want men. Some women aren't sexually attracted to men, they want women. So if women aren't all attracted to men, how the heck are we all supposed to want the same thing? You know? And this is what's so annoying about certain parts of the manosphere when you just think through one tunnel vision. Okay, you want a specific type of woman, but not every woman is the type of woman you want. And that's fine. That's how you find the one. That's how you find the right one for you. Not every woman is the right one for you. Sexually, physically, emotionally, financially, anyway. You know what I mean? Not every woman is going to be the right woman for you. And that's okay. There's a man out there that's for her, So that's what I mean. With that mentality, that is a dangerous, dangerous mentality. I think this has like a minute more, so I'm going to let it go through.
And then they go and bring it to the police, and the police don't prosecute? Of course they want to prosecute, but you know what? They went ahead, they looked at the messages from the girls too, and they saw that they plotted on him. They saw that they were trying to get money out of him. They were mad that he fired them from the webcam business. So it wasn't that he raped them, it's that they were mad. So what did we talk about before? Girls want to retroactively withdraw consent because they regret.
Yes.
And the reality is, you cannot sit there and call regret rape. And that's the problem that we have in the West right now, where girls use rape as a weapon to go after a man that pisses them off. Or after a man that they regret having sex with because he didn't take her on a second date. He didn't court her after.
Right.
He made her feel like a whore because he kicked her out immediately. And the thing is that we got to put some accountability on these girls, because a lot of them are lying.
Yeah. But what's ultimately scary about this, though?
And so the first part of what I wanted to address here was, you see how you start talking about the West. That's what I said about context. Context is very important with this individual, because that individual is someone who he doesn't come from the West. He comes from Sudan. And Sudan, they actually do celebrate and encourage rape of women. There's a lot of sexual assault in that country. And it's really bad. It's out in the open and it's really sick. So it's understandable why he thinks that you shouldn't take rape seriously, because how he was taught was women deserve to be raped. Women love rape. And that's what they enjoy. I think it's a cultural thing with him. And that's why I think it's a context situation where you have to understand where he's coming from and why he thinks the way he does. Also, like I said, it's just really scary to think that someone like that, hopefully they're not, there are probably a lot of men like him out there that think if a woman likes them sexually, that means that they want to be raped. When that's not the truth. Some people may like a man or a woman or anyone, and